The Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 is a phone that almost suffers from having too many software features. There are tons of things that this phone can do that you may not even realize that it can do. In this video, I'm going to highlight several Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 One UI features that you probably aren't using. And we're going to start off by talking about the camera application, but to illustrate my point, we're going to look at a couple of photos I took of a lightning storm shortly after I got my Z Fold 7. I always take these photos, and then when I post them online, people say, how are you timing this to get photos of lightning? Well, it turns out it's actually a lot easier than you may realize. If you go into your camera application, of course you know that if you just click on the shutter button, you're going to take a photo. But did you know that if you take a photo and swipe on the shutter, you will start taking dozens and dozens of photos? That is a burst mode that is kind of hidden away. You can also press and hold without swiping, and you'll start filming a video automatically as well. So I think you can understand where I'm going with this. If you know that there's a thunderstorm, like in this instance, there was like a very stationary storm just to my northwest, and I just walked up to my balcony. You can just point at that storm, swipe on your shutter button, and just take 100 photos. And if you keep doing that, eventually you're going to get some shots of lightning, and that is exactly what I've done here. Continuing to talk about the camera a little bit longer, one big difference about the Z Fold 7 versus the Z Fold 6, 5, 4, and prior Samsung phones is that the photos it takes look very natural now. We don't really have that same overdone saturation, overdone contrast that we have had in the past, but you can do a little bit about that if maybe that's not what you want. In the camera application, you can either click on this little menu down here and scroll down and click on the filter button, or you can click on the filter button up here at the top of the screen. Either way will work. And as you can see, there are a ton of built-in filters to choose between, and you can go in here and change the strength of them, change the color, temperature, the contrast, all of these different things, compare it to the original. Some of them are a bit more aggressive than others, but I think that you can do a lot here to just sort of change the look and the feel of your photo. But if you scroll all the way to the top, you'll see this little download button, which is going to fire up this store. And there are a whole bunch of additional filters you can either purchase or download for free. And those are the ones right here with those little icons up there in the corner. And these tend to be, I think, a little bit better than the ones that are built in. You can get some really cool looking shots. I'll show you some here right now that I've taken over the last couple of weeks kind of playing around with this feature. And I really, really like some of these shots a lot. And if you really end up loving some of these filters and you think, this is just what I want my photos to look like all the time, you can do that as well. If you leave it on the one that you like, and then you click on this button again, and this time you're going to go into your settings. You can scroll down and look for an option that says Settings to Keep. Click on that and then toggle filters. And what's going to happen now is anytime you launch that camera app, whatever you had the filter set to last time, that will just be what it is. One more cool option to show you with these filters, though, if you click on the little plus button, you can actually select a photo that is on your phone, and it will create a filter based on that photo. There you go. It just now kind of loaded in. You can go in and actually sort of edit this photo. Maybe you want to crop in. Maybe you're thinking, yeah, that's getting a little bit too much of the orange in there. So we're going to focus in on a little bit of orange, but mostly some of that tealish color. It'll adapt to that as well. You can name it and then save that as your own custom filter. But another cool thing that those filters are good for is actually being applied after the fact. Let's boost this brightness just a little bit so we can get rid of some of that glare that's a problem on this phone sometimes. If you edit a photo in the stock gallery app and you go into filters, you will see all those same ones, even the ones that you installed in the camera app. So you can just shoot with no filter and then just apply them whenever you're done and still get that same stylized look without having to sort of commit to that stylized look in the camera app. Something else that I really like about the stock gallery app, and this is something I use occasionally when I'm making thumbnails for my channel. If you take a photo and you tap and hold on an object in that photo, it's going to try to pop that thing out of the photo. I clicked on text, so it actually copied the text. Let's try that again on the object itself. You can see here that when I press and hold, I have now popped this battery bank out. It excluded the little lanyard there, but you see what I mean. I can save that with no background, throw it straight onto a thumbnail, and it's already transparent. I can save it as a sticker. I can share it, whatever you want to do. And normally this works pretty darn well. One more way to improve your camera experience is to go into the Galaxy Store and search for an application called Good Lock, which if you're using a Samsung phone, you should just have installed. We're going to go ahead and fire it up, and then we're going to look for a module called Camera Assistant. You can just click on the little install button there, and once it's installed, open this thing up, and there's a couple of things that I always do. First off, I turn on 2x crop zoom shortcut. And what that does is it gives you a 2x crop button. So by default, you have 0.6, 1, 3, and then what is it? I guess it's just 3. But this adds 2. And the reason I like 2 is that it does crop in a little bit for a more flattering focal range for portraits and certain photos. It stays with the primary sensor, which has a lot of depth of field. It's a really nice sensor, and at 2x crop, no problem at all using that sensor. I like that a lot. One other thing that will change has to do with how your shutter button works. Most people think that when you tap that shutter button, it takes a photo and that's all there is to it. But apparently on Samsung devices, it's not quite that simple. You press the button, and then when you release it, that's when the photo is evidently taken. So back in that application, we can turn on Quick Tap Shutter. Take pictures as soon as you touch the shutter. So now, when you touch it, it takes. Not when you release it is when it takes the photo. And that could speed things up and help you nail that shot you were trying to get. But there are tons and tons of options here for things that you can do inside Camera Assistant, things that you can tweak with the camera app. Those are just the big ones for me. Now sticking with Good Lock for a moment, go look for the Home Up module, and this is one that I actually don't use like most of at all, but the thing that is in here I don't think I could live without anymore. Under Task Changer, I go from the default to this grid. Let me show you what it looks like normally. So we'll turn it off and then go into my recents, and this is what you have. You can only really see like the first 3 applications. I think that's such a waste of space. So with this turned on, now you have a grid. I can see the first 6 applications that I have been in. And there's a ton of stuff you can do inside the Home Up module. And of course, there's a ton of things you can do inside Good Lock, period. The next one is something that I have people suggesting to me all the time that they absolutely love. It's One Hand Operation Plus. So with this turned on, you have really, really precise control over this back gesture. Whenever you swipe in, you can swipe in and up. I actually just triggered something. You can swipe in and up, or in and down, and then you can also do the hold versions. If I click on the right handle, you can see short swipe and then long swipe, and each of these can be mapped to something specific. So you can see all of the different options, and all of this can be done right there with your thumbs on either side of the screen. Tons and tons and tons of things. I initially tried having the swipe in and hold trigger this split screen view because I thought maybe that would be easier than doing a 2-finger swipe in. The only problem there is that a lot of the time I'll do a 2-finger swipe in when I'm already in split screen so that I can quickly change what app is over there. But with one-handed mode plus, whenever you do the swipe in and hold to trigger it again, it just closes the other application. So you kind of have to figure out what works the best for you. But there's so much flexibility here. And again, I know that there are people who basically can't use anything but a Samsung phone because they're so used to having these options. And this just speaks to, in general, the amount of stuff that you can do in Good Lock. My wife has been using my old Z Fold 6, and she's been in the theme park app customizing her device like crazy for the last few days. There's so much here. I could spend 2 hours just going through all of these modules, install Good Lock, and look around. So Samsung has also introduced this thing called AI Select, and it's almost like a super powered version of Windows snipping tool. And one of the ways I've been using it lately is like this. I draw a square or whatever around something. You can see that it gives you all these really interesting, just like sort of contextual options like text extraction, generative edit. You can save it, copy it, pin it, all these different things. But one thing I like doing is basically treating it like the snipping tool. I get it, the way I want it, and then I click on the share button and I can send that off to somebody as an image without ever saving it to my device. And if we scroll down to some text, I think that we can kind of demonstrate something else as well. Clicking on some text highlights that paragraph automatically, and we have this option called Writing Assist. And I'm not a big fan of the writing style option, but the summarize option and the spelling and grammar option, I think, can be very, very useful. So let me give you an option of exactly how I would use this, period. Perhaps I am just trying to type out a message to someone in Google Messages, and I'm not really paying super close attention to how I'm wording things or if I'm doing punctuation correctly. What I can do with this is just say what I want to say and then highlight the text and have it fix it for me. And I'll demonstrate how this works. Obviously, that's too long for a tweet, but that's not really the point at all. You can also just highlight the text and click on the little AI button, spelling and grammar, and it should scan this and make fixes. You can see exactly what it's doing. It's changing some capitalization, it's adding some punctuation, hit replace, and everything is fixed and good to go. The only problem I have with this is that it does not work in every app. For some reason, some text fields it just doesn't want to do that with. So instead, I guess what you could do is use the AI select option to fix the text, copy it, and then paste it in. As you can see here, the option does not appear. So let's try my little workaround. We'll open this up and do AI select. We'll grab that text, we'll writing assist, we'll spelling and grammar, and then we can copy it, and then I could paste that in. So it's a little bit of an annoying kind of workaround, but you can still do it. This is one of those videos where it's kind of hard to know when to stop. I could talk about big folders and stackable widgets and edge panels and all these different things. I could keep going for a long time, but I wanted to focus on things that I hadn't talked about too much on this channel, so that's kind of what we're doing here. If there are some things that you think should have been included on this list, things that you cannot live without on your Samsung Galaxy phone, drop that in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.